down to not one class, but 2 classes today and Friday. I can't believe on one hand, I can't believe the semester's over already. Guys, please have the cameras on. And the other side, I can't believe that we actually made it the whole way through. I'm happy that we made it the whole way through. I'm happy you guys got to stay here, and I've gotten to stay here with you. And the other thing I'm going to say, I'll repeat this too, I'm happy that I got to know all you guys. It's been a real fun time for me getting to learn your personalities, reading your work, and exploring what you guys are doing. So today, we're going to be hopefully finishing Chapter 11 on marketing. When I say Chapter 14 on accounting on Friday, that means we're going to cover at a very basic level. How many of you are accounting majors? How many of you have already had an accounting class? Then this will be very basic review for all of you. Nothing difficult. Guys, I do want to remind you, I put the grades for the stock portfolios. Those are posted yesterday. Guys, almost all the groups did really well. One group did not score as high as I was hoping. If they will look at their feedback, I'm giving a group until Friday to resubmit to fix a couple of errors there so we can boost your grade there as well. That being said, the portfolios were pretty good. Guys, if you have not created your handshake profile yet, please do so. You've got till the end of today to do it. We're going to be doing our final exam in class on the 23rd, 8 to 10 a.m. It will not take you 2 hours to do that exam. But guys, today is our last call, not for alcohol, but for overdue work. Maybe for alcohol too, for me. Maybe when I get home at 7 o'clock tonight. Who knows? But if you owe me work, I'm giving you till 4 o'clock today to get your work in. That is the last call for overdue work. If you got a goose egg sitting somewhere on your grade book because you didn't submit something, I'll still accept it till 4 o'clock because I want to have everything graded by Friday. If any of the stock groups too have questions, I know a couple of groups wanted to further explain some of their math. We're going to be doing that after class today. But if you have questions about how I graded your work, please hit me up. Actually, guys, before we get in for today, any questions about anything? What is something, will somebody tell me a question, like an existential question? What's something you always wished you had the answer for? What is something you've always wanted to know?
Why can't humans understand that?
That's a great question. So tell me more about that, Nick. Why can't humans understand death? Meaning, like, know what happens afterwards, all that sort of stuff?
Just like, can't wrap your head around it.
It's hard. The hardest thing in the world, like if somebody says, can you think about absolutely nothing? It's hard. And can you think about just not being here? Or what happens afterwards? That's the biggest existential question we've been trying to answer since we had thoughts. I think that's a huge question. Anything less deep that you guys would like to know the answer? I don't have an answer for you on that one. I've always wondered why there's Braille on drive-through ATMs. Like, no offense, because I mean, no disrespect to somebody who is blind, but should somebody who's blind be behind the wheel of a car driving through an ATM?
No.
That seems like a bad idea to me. Yes.
You see the Orioles did that in the game. They put Braille on the back of their jerseys, like as like their last names and numbers. They put Braille.
How cool is that?
But then like someone made the joke like, oh, blind people are gonna be like, so happy when they see this.
Oh boy.
Like I don't know how that did anything.
I'm going to share with you guys one of the worst experiences of marketing ever to come into the world. All right, guys. After this, I promise we're going to get more into marketing for today. But check this out. In Pennsylvania, we have these things called the PA Career Link. If you don't know what a career link is, it's a place where you can go and get a job. They'll give you job training. They will give you job development. They'll hook you up with employers who are looking for people. Pretty cool, right? Well, they decided, and I know this because I was working on this project, they decided they wanted to appeal more to deaf consumers. Of course, somebody who is deaf speaks what language? American Sign Language. By the way, anybody know what that's based on? What language American Sign Language is based on? It's French. It's actually a French conjugation. So people who speak American Sign Language speak a language that's based on French. It's English, but it's based on French. Anyway, we decided we wanted to allow consumers who were deaf to be able to come into a career link where they would use a video conferencing unit to get access to a sign language interpreter. The example would be, let's say John speaks American Sign Language, Derek is an employer who doesn't. I would be on video conference helping these two talk to each other. Pretty cool idea, right? They wanted to let the deaf community in Scranton and Wilkes-Barre know about this program, so they decided to advertise it. Can anybody guess where they bought advertising time? On the radio. What's the problem? So we're actually saying to a deaf audience, we're going to try to reach you and get the word out by buying advertising on the radio. That's an example of not knowing your audience. So you guys, however, are going to be way better with your audience when we start talking about our strategy areas, guys. We have 4 strategy areas. Remember, there are 5 areas of marketing. There's product, pricing, place, promotion. What's the 5th P we talked about on Monday? There's a lot of them in this room. People, it's people. All right, product. Our strategy area means we're choosing how we're representing our product. We might pick a color. We might pick a way it looks. We might pick all of these things. Pricing means how are we going to price this product? Are we going to go for bargain pricing? Are we going to sell volume? Or are we going to try to put more profit margin in? Place. Where are we distributing this product? How are we going to allow people to get it? We're Amazon. We're going for online distribution. By the way, guys, when we think about things like video stores, why do video stores go the way of the dinosaur? Because of streaming media. So place and distribution no longer always has to be a physical place. And promotion means how are we getting out the word about our product? How are we advertising? How are we getting people to jump on? These are all strategy areas we have to make selections about. If you're one of those folks, raise your hands, by the way, if any of you have interest potentially in your career of working for a nonprofit or a charity. That's okay. You might find that bug somewhere along the line. There's nothing wrong with either way. The biggest thing with nonprofits and charities tend to have less resources. So it means you've got to find ways to get word out about your product for free. Instead of advertising in a newspaper, advertising online, you might do more things like, for example, TV interviews. The ways to get word out about your particular cause without having to pay for it. Social media has been a game changer here as well. So, guys, let's continue because this is all content that we have covered. This is the big nut to crack, as they say. Comes down to buyer behavior. Buyer behavior means we want people to do the right thing by us by buying our product or service. But people are hard. Technology is easy. People are hard. All right, guys, here's my first question, my first trivia question for the day. We're going to start off with team to my right here. Remember, you guys out in video land, you guys are on this side of the room. You guys are this side of the room to see who gets the free beverage. Who among you on this side of the room can tell me what state do Walmart start in? Go look it up. What state? Any guesses?
The first major Walmart was built in York, Pennsylvania. That was the biggest one on the East Coast at one point, but I think the first one ended up in Arkansas.
Arkansas is correct. Very good. All right, we got to come up with a question for you guys over here, too. All right, guys. Who here among you can tell me where is the Slinky from? What town in Pennsylvania gave birth to the Slinky? Your hint is it's not far from here. Who among you knows the birthplace of the Slinky? Take a guess, guys. You had guess for Evansburg? You were close. It's Hollidaysburg. Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania is the birthplace of the Slinky. So this team to my right is in the lead for right now. But buyer behavior means we have to try to determine what's going to get somebody to get off their butt and buy our product. If we lower the price, more people might want to buy it, but it also might change the belief in the product. Let me give you an example. How many of you, please participate with me on this one, guys, by show of hands. If I say Nike, how many of you think that's a quality brand? They make good stuff. Absolutely. If I say Adidas, how many of you think Adidas makes quality stuff? Slightly less. How about Fila? How many of you think Fila makes good stuff? Fewer people were raising their hands than they would have in my generation. When I was in college, Fila was a premium brand, and everybody had a very high regard for it. They were taking on companies like Nike. They more or less licensed their brand these days, so they don't have the same perception as Nike. And you're not paying the same price as you would have for those products. So again, things like social media can also give us the idea whether or not something is a high-quality product, something we should pay money for or not. So buyer behavior can be very unpredictable. But this is the basic model for buyer behavior. Now, all the things that tie into the individual affect how we make these decisions. The first is need recognition. My first need recognition that I'm hungry could say I need to go to Chick-fil-A. Or I could be walking to a mall because they still have those, and I could smell the pizza cooking and say, wow, I'm really hungry. So we know that we need something first. Then we look for information about it. What's different these days? Where do we get all of our information, Elena? The internet. We have more information available at our fingertips than any generation has had before. Then we're looking at our alternatives. Well, I could go to Chick-fil-A, but where else could I go? I could go to Popeyes. Or I could throw my nutrition and my mental health and what else do I throw? My cardiovascular well-being into disarray and say I'm going to Long John Silver's where everything's deep fried. So I have alternatives. Finally, I make the decision I'm going to purchase. And then we have what we refer to as post-purchase behavior. Am I writing reviews? Am I getting warranty work done? Am I saying good things about the product or not? The individual things that make up somebody, whether it's their culture, whether it's their psychology, all of these things affect that stuff. Let me give you an example. If I'm a high roller and I'm making $300,000 a year, do I have to think twice if I'm going to go through the drive-thru Chick-fil-A? No, I don't. If I'm making minimum wage, I might be thinking about McDonald's because it's oh so much cheaper than Chick-fil-A. So that can affect all of these things. People, for example, how does access to credit affect our ability to make these decisions? For example, if you don't have access to credit, what do you have a hard time doing in this country? Buying a house for sure. How about buying Christmas presents online if you don't have a credit card? Unless you got PayPal or directly tied to your account, it's a barrier to making those decisions. So our social makeup can affect these decisions too. So our culture, some people, for example, and it's not just people who are older, some people will not buy stuff online. I have a student who shall remain nameless, a graduate student who's not much older than you guys, and she won't buy anything online. Because the first time she bought something, somebody hacked her account, she had her identity stolen, so it was off the table for her from then out. We all have friends, for example, who never have cash. We have friends who always have cash. And a lot of that comes down to the culture that we come from. I, for example, I'm a product of this area. I'm from rural Pennsylvania. People like cash around here, so I still have a soft spot for cash. If I have a $50 spot in my wallet, I'll do anything I can not to break that. I want to keep that money in my pocket as long as I can. So those are cultural factors. Social factors. What kind of money are you making? Are you in a demographic that's making better money? What about your social choices? For example, there are some folks who fall on the more, when I say this, I'm not setting judgment on you for your beliefs, but some folks who are more liberal who won't eat at Chick-fil-A because Chick-fil-A has an anti-gay marriage stance. There are some folks who are more conservative, for example, who may not like the NFL these days. All these things affect people's opinions. I'm not telling you what's right or wrong. I'm telling you it is. And then we have individual influences. We have beliefs about things. I've had experiences, or we have psychological influences. People, for example, are fearful of putting their credit card online. They have high anxiety, and that could be a psychological influence. Well, we talked about business to consumer versus business to business. Where do we start? Because you guys got the last score. This team goes for this question. There are two markets that we market to online in this side of the room. We have business to business, and we have business to consumer. Which is a bigger market? Money-wise. Business to business or business to consumer? Anybody have a guess? Take a guess, guys. No electric shocks will be given. What do you think? You have a guess for business to consumer? Incorrect. Business to business is actually a bigger market. And here's what's different about it, guys. Business to business, we're not just buying a piece here and a piece there. If I'm Walmart and I'm dealing with Procter & Gamble, I am buying metric tons of toilet paper right now because everybody and their brother is afraid we're going to run out again. If I'm Walmart, I'm going to be buying tons of stuff from tons of suppliers. It's greater risk, for example, if you're Target and you just open Target grocery stores and you're buying tons of produce, that's perishable. So we're taking bigger risks by buying products. Here's another example, guys. If we bank on the idea that a certain Christmas toy is going to be hot, and it's not, and we just bought all this inventory of it, comes January 3rd, we got to discount that stuff and we got to lose money. So the difference between business to business and business to consumer is we're buying more. We have more customers that we're buying from. Smaller number of suppliers, bigger number of customers. Our buyers, the people we're buying from, could be all over the country, and we've also got to distribute the products we buy from them. So people who are business to business buy at a bigger rate. So if I ask you guys again, what's bigger, business to business or business to consumer, you guys would say B2B ASAP. You got it. All right, we're going to continue, guys. We're going to keep moving here because I really do want to finish this chapter today, but we're still going to have some time for some competition here today. Oh, what do I want to ask you now? Okay. Well, the last question got asked to this team, so I'm going to ask the question to this team. Spider-Man, very famous comic book icon. Obviously, we've all seen the Spider-Man movies. We've all seen the Avengers movies. Spider-Man's co-creator, one of them was Stan Lee. We all know Stan Lee. The other one was a guy named Steve Ditko. Steve Ditko was from a town very close to Loretto, Pennsylvania. One of the co-creators of Spider-Man is from a town close to this part of Pennsylvania. What town is Steve Ditko from? Very close to here. What would you guys guess? Take a guess, guys, please. Good guess. Also a good guess, but both incorrect. The answer was Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Steve Ditko was from Johnstown, Pennsylvania. So Spider-Man is tied into this region. All right, guys. This is a chance for you guys to get on the board here. It's a little bit more difficult question. But Batman is one of the oldest superhero brands in the world. So you guys here tell me, I'll give you a date range. Batman was created before 1950. What year did the first Batman comic roll out? Take a guess. World War II started for the United States in 1941. What do you think, guys? Any guesses? So close. It was 1939. Detective Comics number 27. If you got one of those, you'll never have to work again. But guys, we talked about segmenting our market. So we're tying in marketing, meaning we're going to decide how we market. We can do this a bunch of different ways. We can do demographic marketing, for example. We can do geographic marketing. We can do psychographic. We can do benefit. We can do volume. Demographic means, who am I selling Buicks to, Derek? Old people who like safe cars. Geographic, Erica, right now, what's it doing outside? It's snowing. So what can we sell here that we couldn't sell in Florida? Snow blowers. Absolutely correct. Psychographic means, for example, if people are risk averse and they're afraid of spending money online, we might sell them identity protection services. There's a company called LifeLock. Benefit means, for example, we're selling people vitamins and supplements because if you're using creatine, you can lift more, you can get big. And then we also have the volume method as well, which means, for example, if we're going to sell soda, we got to sell a lot of soda because we're building in a lot of margin. Actually, soda's got a pretty good profit margin. Let me think of something else I want to use. Volume means, for example, McDonald's doesn't make a lot of money on every hamburger they sell, so they got to sell a lot of them. Here's the thing I always think is interesting about soda. If you go to a supermarket and you're in the checkout line, you get a bottle of cold Coca-Cola. What's it usually cost? A little 20-ounce bottle. Where? At a supermarket. Like you're in line at the supermarket. They have this coolers there. You can grab a Coke. What's it going to cost? Yep. What's a 2-liter in the same store going to cost? Probably like $2.75. Probably $1.50 if it's on sale. So we can buy 2 liters cheaper than we can buy 20 ounces. How does that work? It's convenience. It's right there. It's a benefit because it's cold and available. So, guys, again, demographics, age, education, all these things. Geographic means we're going to break out our sales in different places. If I'm selling Kawasaki motorcycles, for example, am I going to sell more of them here or in California? What do you think, Derek? Here or California? Because it's sunny all the time. It hardly ever rains. Psychographic, again, we're going by people's lifestyle. If somebody, for example, has a very athletic lifestyle, we're going to sell them more Nikes. Benefits means benefit is. And again, volume, there's things we buy all the time. Has anybody ever seen, by the way, the buttons that you can buy from Amazon to restock your detergent? Have you seen these? This is amazing. You can buy a press-on button. It's got a Wi-Fi chip in it. You put it on the side of your washing machine. You start running out of detergent. You hit the button, it automatically reorders it. How about that for convenience? It's pretty crazy, huh? I know, guys. I know it's the second to last day of class. I do, guys. But we got to keep it going here. So it's probably time for another trivia question. What is it going to be about this time? I got to think about this one for a second. I got to come up with a really good trivia question for you guys. All right. We're talking about Christmas, and we're talking about the best presents we've all ever got, aren't we? I like talking about Christmas presents. One of the biggest, most successful brands of dolls in the United States was Barbie. I'm going to start off. Who got the last question? Which side got the last question? You guys get this question. Barbie, the idea for her did not come from the United States. Where did it come from? Barbie came from somewhere outside the United States. Where is it? Guesses? You think about it, Paige? What do you think? It was not Sweden or Switzerland. Norway? It was not Norway. This was a good question. You guys want to try to steal? Where did Barbie come from? Guesses? Oh, give it a shot. Think of a country. Just randomly say a country. So we have England. Where else? It was Germany. Barbie came from Germany. Yeah, it's good, yeah? So she came from Germany. Guys, so let's continue now. I'm going to keep asking you questions because we got to get awake here. We got to keep going. Guys, in terms of marketing, we also need to know our customers. The reason the internet is so great is we know a lot about all our customers because of their habits. We see where they go online. We see the things they buy. Marketing research means that we're tracking this information. When we get into survey research, it means somebody may ask you a question. They may ask you to follow up. If you want to know, for example, actually, let me ask you guys this. Have you ever seen for example, you buy something online and they'll ask you when you're buying it, how did you hear about us? Elena, why do they want to know that? Exactly right. That 15% discount's no big deal on the order because they can find out if your advertising is working. You can also do surveys, guys, meaning we're going to give people a survey. You tell us what you like, what you didn't like. Observation is good, too. I used to be a secret shopper, guys. Has anybody ever heard of secret shoppers? Literally, you can go into it, you get paid to do this, where you go into a restaurant, you order food items, you track how long it takes for them to get to you, and you report out to the company how did the survey folks do. So we get into the idea of actually observation. And you can even do experimentation, too. That means we can lower the price and see if sales go up. We can change the formula of Coca-Cola and see if sales go up. Was that a successful experiment? It most certainly was not. So again, all of these are things we can do. I want you to write this down, though, guys. This is something that's not in our text. I want you to write this down. There are two different kinds of research. I guarantee this question will be on the test. There is primary and secondary research. Primary means I'm going right to the consumer and asking somebody, what do you think about this? Secondary means I'm researching it, and write this down, please. Primary research means I'm going right to the consumer and asking them their opinion. I'm getting information direct from the source. Secondary means I'm buying a trade journal. I'm doing other kinds of research by buying existing information. Primary research is great because we can tailor it directly to our needs. We can ask the questions we want answers to, but it can be time-consuming and expensive. Secondary is less expensive, but it also can be less relevant to us. So primary versus secondary, direct versus indirect. Those are all interchangeable terms. You guys with me? We're with you, Professor Tonkin. Oh, by the way, guys, today, this is our next trivia question here for this group. Today is the birthday of a very important pop culture character, a cartoon character. Today is this cartoon character's birthday. Does anybody know whose birthday I'm talking about? Whose birthday is it today, guys? A cartoon character. Been around a while. Still going on. What do you think? Who is it? Any guesses, guys?
What? An animal?
I'm not going to give you those kind of hints. Let's say the character's been around a while. What is your guess?
Harvey wants to say SpongeBob.
So SpongeBob is your answer? Incorrect. It's not SpongeBob's birthday. Whose birthday is it today, guys? Cartoon character. All of you probably love this character at some point. Yes. It is Mickey Mouse. Pluto, it's Mickey Mouse's birthday today. Yeah, he was created, I believe, in 1922. Does anybody know? This is not a scoring question. Do you know what Mickey's original name was? Mortimer. Like, could you imagine if that was the name they stuck with? Mortimer Mouse? Nobody would have bought that. And you know what else? How many of you are fans of Christmas cartoons? You like Christmas? You know, nobody would have liked Mortimer Mouse, and nobody wants a Charlie in the Box. Am I right? Yeah, all day I'm right on that one. All right, guys. So we're talking about creating value. Guys, these are all ways that we can create value in a product. Number one, you go to an Apple store. How many of you, by show of hands, have ever been to an Apple store? What do they look like? They look very sleek and tech. They're always usually very clean, too, aren't they? Very high standards. So when you walk into a retail store, do you get the right image or not? For example, some stores look great. Anybody who's ever been in a Planet Fitness bathroom knows it doesn't look that great because a lot of them don't keep up with it because they're value priced. So our image of the retail store, the idea is you get what you pay for $10 a month. Your warranty, for example, if you get a 336, a 3-year 36,000 mile warranty versus a 7-year 70,000 mile warranty, the idea of the longer warranty creates the idea of value in a car. Color actually can have an effect as well. People love red. What does red communicate? When you see a red sports car, what image does it communicate to you? Speed, fast, all these things. Blue is a more soothing color. Colors matter. Packaging. Does the packaging look good or generic? Does it draw us in? Instructions, actually, as well. Are they clear? Are they available? The image of the brand means when we think of BMW versus Hyundai, even though Hyundai has made some great steps in improving their quality, they're really good cars these days. Hyundai's had a tough time establishing their Genesis luxury brand because people don't see Hyundai that way. Attachments means are there parts we can buy later for this product or service, for example, for this product. And what about service, guys? There are some companies that build their reputation on it. Rolls-Royce, one of the biggest manufacturers of luxury cars, and one of the most exclusive cars in England. I'm telling you the truth. If you were a Rolls-Royce owner and your car broke down and Rolls-Royce was coming out to service your car, you know what they would do? They would come and put surgical screens around the car while they worked on it alongside the road so people wouldn't see your car broken down alongside the road. That sounds ridiculous, but they absolutely did it. And all of these things create value. Now, there are things that we don't want to buy. For example, nobody gets excited about buying life insurance or burial plots. That would be a tough business to be in selling those things. But we refer to these as unsought products. These are things that nobody wants, but eventually you probably need. Then we have convenience products. It's candy bars and soda, things that we buy at the end of a grocery aisle. Then we have shopping products, and those are things, for example, that we are buying that are large items, refrigerators, furniture, or a big vacation. And then we get into specialty products, for example, if we're getting into products that maybe we don't need but we really want, like designer clothing or jewelry. Then there's other kinds of business products. For example, if you're a business, you're going to buy installations. You're building a building. You're building an extension. You might need to buy a copier. That's an accessory. That's something else you shop for. And then you also get components. You're buying components. You're buying gears and axles. You might be buying raw materials. If you're a steel manufacturer, you're going to buy iron, for example, to make your steel. Then you get supplies. Things like, if you're buying pencils and paper or machine oil. And finally, services. Things your company doesn't do for itself. It has to buy from somebody else. So those are all important things. In our economy, we are a consumer-driven economy. Even if business is larger, businesses typically are serving customers. So So they need to come up with new ideas. So we create new products and ways to reinvigorate ourselves, guys. Let me give you an example. Apple, before the iPhone, was languishing. They were really having a tough time finding a market. The first kind of thing that kept them alive was the iPod. And after the iPod, the iPhone reinvented how Apple does things, and their focus is more on phones and mobile now than computers. Back when they started, they were a computer company. So again, anytime that you can come up with new ideas, it can make your brand go longer and stick around. So, in terms of coming up with products, actually, we're going to take 1 second before we go on this. I need another trivia question. I need to get you guys moving this morning. What can we do here? Oh, what do I want to ask? All right, this is a tough one. Who was the last? Who was the last group to go? You guys got Mickey Mouse, so you guys. I don't know. That's too tough. That's too tough. You guys never do that. Let's come up with it. I come up with something you guys will know. Okay. This is a toughie, but you might get it. How many of you, by the way, are video gamers? What was the first video game system sold for home use in the United States? I'll give you a hint. It's 1970s. First video game system for sale for home use in the United States. Any guesses? It was named after a single game. Good guess. Was not Atari. Other team, do you guys have a guess? First video game sold in the United States for home use. Any guesses? Sorry, you had your chance, guys. Nope. It was not. It was Pong. Pong was a tennis game. You literally had one paddle here on the screen, and a little white dot that went between the two. That was the first video game. It was called Pong. All right, guys. I said first home video game. Yeah, sorry. The first console, if you were going that route, would have been the Atari. And then the Sega Genesis didn't come out until about the 90s. Although Sega Genesis, by the way, was a badass gaming system. Love the Sega Genesis. Okay, guys, in terms of if you want to set new goals, if you want to establish new products, first thing you have to do is set some goals, develop the ideas, make sure that the ideas you're trying actually work and that people want to get behind them, and then you go back and learn from those and make the concept better. After that, you test market and you introduce to the marketplace. Guys, this area was a test market area in the 1990s for one of the most bizarre products ever to come out. Has anybody here ever heard of Crystal Pepsi? It was clear Pepsi. It was clear cold. It tasted like Pepsi, but it looked like 7-Up. And it was like the most ridiculous thing ever because the only difference between it and regular Pepsi was it was clear, but they test marketed it in this area, and people loved it, so Pepsi went with it. And all of a sudden, people were drinking Crystal Pepsi for about a year until it crept into obscurity. Somebody who's a product manager is somebody, if you enjoy inventing new products, comes out with strategy, comes out with ideas for products. We have people from St. Francis, for example. If any of you during mentorship, they got to meet Marcus Penny. Marcus Penny was a product manager and a brand manager for Under Armour. He was the guy who was helping come out with new ideas. We had somebody who was an advertising manager for Casper. Her name's Terry Rockovich. She also came out of St. Francis University. So people who are coming out with a new strategy for a product, they call product managers. And they're people who can grow new things. Then we get into what we refer to as the product life cycle. All products have their time. From the time they hit the market to the time that people want the product and it grows and changes and people buy things, to the point where the product levels off, we hit maturity, and then we hit decline and death. Where would you guys think? Of those 4 phases right now, is the iPhone in growth, maturity, or decline? What are your thoughts? Still think we're growing because the 12's got some interesting new features? Yeah, go ahead.
I just have like a question. So like, if you look at that on like almost like a bar graph or a line graph,
yeah.
The intro growth with maturity like stay up.
Levels off. Yep.
That would be leveled off.
Yep.
I'd say the high maturity.
I would say that right now, although I can see the growth aspect as well, I agree. I think we're moving into maturity because right now, does anybody here really, if you had to spend your own money, would you immediately rush out and buy a 12? No, because we're not excited about it anymore. It's just a thing we have now. Yes, ma'am. You could if you came up with something really with a game changer. In fact, that's happened too. Because, for example, people in the 90s and the early 2000s, the biggest smartphone was called a BlackBerry. And you remember BlackBerry. And people who were addicted to them actually called them crackberries. Because people, seriously, they called them crackberries. By the way, for you guys who were in class today, that'd be a great bonus question, crackberries. So that market had kind of leveled off because the most users were professional and government. And all of a sudden, Apple comes out with this iPhone that's really cool and really fun, and we go from maturity back into growth in the smartphone market in general. So the product can sometimes get reinvigorated. Here's another one too, guys. Does anybody here like vinyl? Anybody like records? What are you listening to on vinyl these days? Heart, like the classic Sister Deal. What's your favorite record? Oh, I am glad to know you. You have good taste in music, Erica. That's fantastic. I'm listening to a bunch of old Zeppelin and Rush on vinyl these days. So vinyl came back. All of a sudden, vinyl's in vogue again. So it went from death, like literally death, back to being a growth market again. So it can happen, guys. It can happen. So again, as Nick stated, whenever we get to our maturity phase, things are leveling off, and the decline happens at that point. When decline happens, prices also go down. Remember, supply and demand. The less supply there is, the more demand, the higher the price. When we hit maturity, we hit a standard. Most smartphones right now, for example, if you buy a new Samsung or a new Apple, you go in between about $700 to $1,200. They're all in a very consistent range because the products are beginning to be mature. And the prices may drop again once people get tired of buying those kinds of devices. So again, guys, in terms of the product life cycle, use different strategies at different phases in the product life cycle to be able to get people in. We're not going to cover this to any great depth other than to say, for example, in the introduction phase, you got to get people to try something. Try the new Coke. Try this Popeye's chicken sandwich. When we get to maturity, we're trying to come up with new ways to get people to upgrade, even though they don't really need to. Maybe we'll add some new features. And decline means we start writing the product off. We are not so much looking at how we promote the product anymore because we know its days are numbered. And again, pricing tends to go down over time for these things as well. In terms of product pricing too, we can start, for example, at a high price to see if people will buy and create a buzz that we can lower it over time. Penetration pricing means we're going to start slow or start low to get people to buy the product. And that leader pricing means we're going to sell at a loss to get people to buy the product so we can saturate the market. Again, the old joke about cheap printers and expensive ink. When we get into servicing, we can bundle services together. For example, I get my Spotify and my Hulu in one package. Odd even pricing, there's a reason why all these terrible ads we see on TV that the price is never $20, it's always $19.95 or $19.99 because the odd pricing makes us feel like we're getting a deal. Or we could, for example, raise the price of a product to imply quality. For example, does anybody know the price of a new Suburban now? If you went to buy a brand new Suburban, the 2021 model, with any kind of options, you know what that vehicle is going for? The big Suburban? The big one. Between $80,000 and $85,000 for a truck. Crazy. But they've got the rep, and they're using that basically to imply that it is something incredibly great. All right, guys, we're almost through. Actually, we got a tie here, so I got to come up with a question that's going to let us have a winner here. I think what that's going to be. What is that going to be? What would be a good question? All right, we're going to do a sports question for this side of the room. There was a very noteworthy moment in Pittsburgh Steelers history when Franco Harris made one of the most amazing catches in the history of football. What was that event called? Yes. Immaculate reception. Very good. All right. We're going to go to let's see, what can we ask on this side of the room to see if you guys could make up? Let me think of What would be a good question for you guys? Well, this is going to be, that's too tough. That is too tough. Okay, guys. Earlier this semester, this side of the room, I mentioned a foreign auto manufacturer that once had a plant in Pennsylvania. What company was it? Car company. Foreign auto manufacturer that once had a plant in Pennsylvania. What was it? Think about foreign manufacturers. Think of who could be. It's not Toyota. It's Volkswagen. All right, guys, you're down by one at this point. So we'll see if there's a chance for another question or not. The internet, for example, has made a difference out of the way we market to people. We have something we call one-to-one marketing. Write this down. One-to-one marketing means that our companies like Amazon know us so well they can individually market to us. Instead of paying for big blocks of television advertising, we can go right in your inbox or your web interface or your app on your phone and recommend products that we think you are going to like. So what's the old way of doing things? It's the idea of radio, TV, broadcast, any kind of magazines. We're taking one message and we're sending it to tons of people. In targeted marketing, we have a message that's just for you so that you can feel like you're personally addressed. And guys, that is our chapter on marketing. So Friday, we're going to very briefly, and I say briefly, we're going to cover some basic accounting stuff and review for the final. Other than that, guys, have a wonderful day.